This is the Doctor, President-elect of the High Council of Time Lords.
I am definitely a madman with a box.
Anyone for jelly, baby?
I'm the Doctor. I'm 904 years old. I'm from the planet Gallifrey in the constellation of Castabras.
Hey Who fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
And my name's Adam.
And we are at episode 65. Hope you've all recovered from quite a busy weekend if you went to the festival.
It's manic, wasn't it?
And if not, hope you recovered from looking at all the tweets and everything that was going on. It's quite manic, I guess.
Yeah, there's been a lot. It's been a lot kicking off after Saturday's episode, isn't there, online? I think it's fair to say.
Yes, yeah. So that's going to be an interesting review later. Interesting in a way that,
Interesting in a Love and Monsters way.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
Thank you all for sending in your thoughts and reviews on that one. And we had quite a few audio clips as well. So you guys you're stepping your game up, which is good.
Oh, excellent. Look forward to listening to those.
Yeah. So we hope you guys have had a fantastic week. Like I said, if you went to the festival, I hope you've recovered and got some sleep back and your feet are now not aching. And if you haven't, just whatever you've been doing, hope you've had a good week. Chilled out, watched some Who, not watched Who, whatever. Whatever suits you. What have you been up to, buddy?
Well, I've just been recovering from the festival, mate. And it's weird actually because it was such a good weekend that found myself at a bit of a loose end on Sunday night. I was sort of on a bit of a downer. Didn't you feel that? I was thinking, I don't know, I just didn't want it to end. And even though I was shattered on Saturday after it all finished, I didn't want to sleep either. I don't know if you had that. I just wanted to stay awake and chat to people and just keep the festival going because it was a pretty good day, wasn't it? I think we had a good one. It was
a really good time, yeah. Really good day. All in all, a good weekend.
Yeah,
overall.
It was.
So you haven't been up to anything, just festival recovery and feeling melancholy and.
Well, I've been editing the video. I did some filming at the festival, so I've been spending all my spare time editing that. And I thought I'd got it ready, and I showed my partner the video last night. And it got tore to pieces. So I'm actually going to go back and re-edit it this afternoon. Because I thought it was pretty decent. I wanted to get it up pretty quick because I am quite OCD about my videos. I do spend ages just editing them. So I thought, well, this one I've got to get my act together. I've got to get it up pretty quick. So I thought it was ready to go, but there are a few little improvements that need to be made. So I am going to redo that this afternoon. So to be honest with you, that's what I've spent most of my week doing. When I've had any spare time, I've just been editing the video because I want to get it out there for people to see. I did watch Downtime this week. You know, the unofficial sequel to The Web Planet.
Oh, cool. Yes.
Is it The Web Planet? No, Web of Fear. Sorry, Web of Fear. That's because Capaldi was talking about The Web Planet. I've still got it in my head at the festival. So yeah, I've been watching the Downtime. And I've never seen it before. Originally came out in 1995, I think, and this is the first time it's come out on DVD. Sorry, and it's the first time I've watched it, and I actually, for what it is, I really enjoyed it. I don't know if you've seen it. Have you?
I haven't yet. No, I'm going to pick it up though.
It's worth a watch. I mean, it's very much of its time, and it is an independently produced drama. So, yeah, it's kind of, I suppose, dated sounds cruel, but do you know what I mean? It's of its time. So yes, bear that in mind. You may be watching it thinking, what on earth? Because the sort of robotized men, for want of a better word, in it, are wearing these yellow caps and, the sort of fashion stuff is a bit thing. But for what it is, I actually really enjoyed it. And because it's got Sarah Jane in it and the brig and everything, it's just great to see stuff that I haven't seen of them, if you know what I mean. So even though it was old, it was like new stuff for me. I was thinking, I've never seen Sarah Jane in this, and I enjoyed it. I really did. And there's a cool making of on Disc 2 which shows Christopher Barry at work, and I found that fascinating because he did a lot of Who, Christopher Barry, and it's just really interesting to see a director at work and how he pulls it all together and stuff. So So apart from doing all the editing, I did find time to watch the 2-disc set of that.
Chris Barry, as in the director, not the Red Dwarf Chris Barry.
No, not hologram, not Holly. No, it's hologram, isn't it? No, not him. No. Actually, I don't know if you noticed, there was somebody who asked the question at the festival that had the H on his head, and people were in the audience like, "What's that? There's a Red Dwarf fan in here. Whoa, what's going on?"
yeah. He had the top half was Star Trek.
Yeah.
And then he had the Red Dwarf hologram, and he had a sonic screwdriver with him as well.
Oh, did he? Oh,
yeah,
right,
so he was rocking a few franchises there.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, I didn't notice that. I only noticed the H, though.
It was on very shaky ground.
Yeah, very shaky ground.
Yeah.
So that's all I've been up to, really, mate. Editing,
Bloody
bit
Trekkies.
of downtime. That's it. What about you?
Yeah, not much really, mate. We kind of all hooed out. I think is the correct phrase to use after last weekend. Not that you could ever be 100% hooed out, but it was non-stop Who, for 2.5 days really. So this weekend I've just been checking out some, trying to get some Big Finish listen to, but I just can't. For some reason, I can't listen to Big Finish while I'm working.
Oh, right.
I don't know what it is. I just can't, I end up having to rewind all the time and go back a chapter and listen to it again and stuff. So that's been a bit of an epic fail for Big Finish. Yeah. So I think I need to just zone out a little bit and get the headphones on while I'm, because I used to listen to it while I was going to sleep. When I got into bed, I'd stick some Big Finish on and listen to most of it that way. But yeah, so I tried to finish off the rest of Doom Coalition because I've got the last story to listen to for that.
Oh, right.
But that didn't work because I was working and I just couldn't listen to it. And I haven't even started listening to the Jaeger Lightfoot and Strax yet.
Oh, yes, yeah.
So, but that's on the cards for tomorrow, hopefully.
That looks good. I like the cover to that. I've heard it's pretty good fun, actually.
Yeah, looks good. Or
it
sounds
does look
good. Yeah,
sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah.
For the benefit of anyone who's listened to our last couple of podcasts that's heard me ranting about my Doom Coalition not turning up and me threatening to throw over their stall at the festival, you'll be very pleased to hear it turned up the morning that I left. I mean, it couldn't have been better timing. It literally arrived as I was leaving to go to London to the festival. So I was really pleased because I think it would have been hanging over me like a dark cloud, especially seeing the Big Finish stand there and all their cool stuff and everything. So
yeah.
I must admit, I didn't. Did you? I can't remember now. You didn't? Did you buy anything from the Big Finish stand?
Nope.
No.
I wanted to, which we'll come on to in a little while. Yeah.
I gotta say, because I didn't, just because I like the fact they give you the free download. So there was a couple of things I was tempted by, but I thought I'd wait and get them from their site to get the free download.
Yes.
And risk it taking 2 months to arrive. But yeah.
Yeah. So not much else really. I got really excited yesterday. We're recording this on Thursday the 19th. So yesterday, which would have been the 18th, I got super excited because it's exactly a month until the new Star Wars. But
oh yeah.
Other than that, not much.
My uncle, just to go off track slightly, has invited me to a midnight screening of the Star Wars. And I'm really in two minds because it's on a school night. And I'm thinking I won't get back till like 4 a.m. But I'm thinking I desperately want to see it.
Oh, yeah, dude. That was my... Yeah, because I remember when... I don't want to talk about Star Wars too much, but I remember when they announced tickets, like all the UK cinema sites, when they all crashed and went down. I managed to get into the queuing system for the O2, the Cineworld at the O2 at midnight.
Oh, yeah.
And I had it there. I had the seat and everything. I had it selected, ready to pay. And I suddenly thought, how am I going to get back from London? Because if it starts at like 2 minutes after midnight, it won't finish till, I'm assuming, like 2 a.m-ish.
Yeah.
There's no trains. How am I going to get back?
With trailers as well, I think you're more looking at 3 hours because it's quite a long film, isn't it? So yeah, I know. Tricky.
So yeah, I had to can that one, and yeah, but I've got a couple of different screenings booked up, so it's all good.
Yeah, exciting.
Exciting times.
That one.
Anyways, shall we give you guys, let's give you guys a rundown, a kind of mini review on the festival before we get into the news, yeah?
Yeah.
So last weekend we were at the Excel in London, and you probably all know the drill. So it was kind of a similar thing to the 50th anniversary thing that they did at the Excel, right?
Yeah, very similar.
It was a very similar thing where there's just thousands of Who fans turn up, and your day is split into two things, really. You have various panels and talks throughout the day, whether that be in a big auditorium theatre type thing where you've got the whole cast and writers and all that sort of stuff. They're just telling you about how they make Doctor Who, and then you've got the cast telling you what it's like to be in Doctor Who, and you can ask questions and all that stuff. And then the other half of the day is just shopping.
Pretty much,
yeah. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I was going to say, if one thing was different from this, from the 50th, is that there wasn't as much going on. But actually, that was a good thing, because at the 50th, they had lots of classic Doctor Who actors on stage upstairs at the same time as other things going on, and it was really hard to, you sort of had to make a choice a lot of the time of what you were going to watch and what you weren't, because there were things running at the same time, and there wasn't so much of that this time, which was a good thing. So initially it felt like there wasn't that much going on. It felt like less compared to the 50th, but on hindsight, it actually worked a lot better, I think, because we sort of pretty much managed to get everything in, didn't we?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
And the way they ran it this year, the way they ran this one was pretty good, because you could they divided fans pretty much into two types of tickets. You had your Dalek ticket, which we were on, and then you had your Cyberman ticket, and they staggered the times for things, so they didn't just pile everybody from the whole event, into the one Q&A panel or something else. They split it between Daleks and Cybermen the different times, so that was quite cool.
Yeah, it worked well.
And overall, I think it was fairly well ran, to be honest. There wasn't anything that popped up that we were like, oh, what, this is rubbish. And in terms of organisation and stuff, it was on the day. I mean, it was pretty good.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I would agree. I mean, we were a bit worried about all the photo scheduling and there being chaos and stuff, and no, it all flowed pretty good, really. I think, like I said, a lot of the time we spent in the actual merchandise, because there was a lot of stalls there and a lot of great stuff to look at, and that's where everyone sort of congealed in between all the sort of talk panels and stuff, didn't they? So
yeah,
we spent a lot of time in there, and there was other stuff to look at in there as well. There was there were Daleks in there, obviously, and they had Davros's chamber. What's it called? Davros's room.
His chamber. Yeah, that was really cool.
That was good. You could walk in and have a selfie with Davros. They had some costumes, and props. They had Danny the Effects Man. With his big snow machine and a sort of tiny TARDIS and stuff. So that was good. So there was lots going on in that merch room as well. But yeah, it was I don't know. It was enough to keep us going, wasn't it? In between all the other stuff, really. And obviously we met up with everyone in there, which was great.
Yeah. So the day had three main talks that we went to, 2.5 of them. So the first one was Meet the Writers, which was really cool on our day. So they had Stephen Moffat in there. It had Peter Harness. Yeah. And it had what's her name? Sue Dollard.
Yeah, I kept getting her name wrong, which won't surprise anyone. I kept calling her Helen, I think, but yeah.
Okay, yeah. So Peter Harness obviously wrote the really good Zygon two-parter. And Sue, she wrote the upcoming Face the Raven.
Yeah.
And that was quite interesting. I quite liked that talk because more than anything, it just showed how... there might be a lot of people who are going to wince at this bit, but it showed how cool of a guy Stephen Moffat is, really.
Yeah, he's a funny one, isn't he? Because he's quite cantankerous, but he's also very sort of... I was going to say likable, but he's interesting to listen to, isn't he? I mean, he doesn't... I think he's very honest, which I think, is what makes him quite engaging when he's talking. He can be quite... even confrontational, I suppose. I mean, he was getting a little bit of stick, and he's not afraid to stand up for himself, and I quite liked that. I come out of there really quite liking them off.
Yeah, me too. And he's very humble as well. He's never come across, especially on Saturday as well. He never came across like he was, the world, owed him, a job writing Doctor Who and all that stuff. He's very much a case of, I have no idea why the BBC, gave me the job. I have no idea how my scripts get written and completed and all that stuff. He's very, he's very humble with it, which is cool.
It's interesting, actually, his writing style being sort of, he talked about how he writes and how he sort of just starts with an idea and doesn't think about the ending. And is it Susan? What's her name? Gollard?
Sue Dollard.
Sue Gollard was saying she's the opposite. She sort of has to think of a beginning and an end and then fills it in. So it's quite interesting to see the sort of totally different styles of the way they write stuff.
Yeah, that was cool. He basically said that he has no idea. He has like a little idea in his head. He just goes to the computer and just starts typing, and that's it. Whereas a lot of other writers, they have if you've ever seen any interviews with J.K. Rowling as well, she was very much the same, where they work out the overall story, and they write loads of notes and they put everything together. So they've already worked out what's going to happen in like the first, middle and last act, and they've got all their characters worked out, and everything's mind mapped and brainstormed, everything's there, and then they start writing the actual dialogue and scripts, which is quite cool. But Moffat, he just seems like a loose cannon. He just sits down and starts writing. It's quite funny as well that he said that, because there was a couple of people, because they do the last part of each talk was a Q&A, and there was a couple of people who were saying like, I'm an aspiring writer, I love Doctor Who, and it's made me want to pursue a career in writing and stuff. Can you give me some advice? And I think the Moffat was very much like, you have to very much hate yourself and hate everything, and a script is never perfect and it's never done, and you're going to want to throw your laptop out the window and stuff like that. So that was quite cool. He was very, very honest about that, because there are some writers, not many, but there are some where they can be a bit like, it just comes naturally to me and I can do this and that. But Sue Dollard as well as Stephen Moffat, they were very much like, no, it's a very laborious and almost torturous process to go through sometimes. So it was that I really like that about those guys. They didn't hold much back, really.
No, exactly. We didn't get much from Peter Harness, did we? He almost looked like he didn't want to be there, actually. I mean, it was mostly sort of Sue and Stephen Moffat that were sort of giving some good stuff. Peter Harness kind of held back. Yeah, he was quite quiet, wasn't he? Which is a shame, because it's such a good two-parter. And obviously there was that amazing speech that was written in that two-part as well. But he was quite quiet, wasn't he? Didn't really get much from him.
Yeah, he was. To be fair, there wasn't many people who had fired questions at him. Even though he'd just recently wrote, possibly one of the best two-parters since Who came back. There wasn't much in a way. I mean, he did answer a few questions and stuff, and he was quite funny. And I've just realised that we've got, we've been saying her name wrong. It's Sarah Dollard.
Oh, Sarah Dollard.
Why have we been saying Sue? Where do we get Sue from?
Because I call her Helen on the video, so we're just rubbish with names.
Blimey.
That's all it is.
Do you know what? That's the one thing that we're absolutely shocking with.
I know.
It's names. I'm gonna buy a pen at some point. I'm going to buy.
Ask Santa for a pen.
I don't think I own many pens anymore, but I'm going to buy a pen and bloody write stuff down. Right. So Sarah Dollard and Moffat, they answered quite a few questions, and Peter was very much like, in the middle, bit of a gooseberry, but what he did say was quite cool. There wasn't much of an insight into anything, but
no,
it was quite cool.
Yeah, I think the Moffat stole the show on that one a bit.
Yeah, and he was very funny as well. He was very funny with it. So that was the meet the writers panel, and then after that we just stuck around because I think it was like 15 minutes later we had the meet the cast.
Yeah, and
that was Capaldi, Jenna Coleman, Ingrid Oliver, and Michelle Gomez. And that was run by the really, really funny Toby Haydock.
I really love Toby. I think he's great. Apparently he's been getting quite a lot of flack on some forums. I've no idea why, because I think he's brilliant.
He's one of these guys that is just instantly likable.
Yeah.
he's got this charm about him. He's just you can't dislike Toby. Why is he getting flack? Come on.
Oh, because there's idiots out there. No, I just saw it on his Facebook page. I mean, obviously he was on a real high after festival, and he just said the wind had been taken out of him because he went on Gallifrey base, which I know. Excuse me, I've never been on, so I don't know what it's like, but I've heard of it. But
Yes.
yeah, no, I love Toby because he's such a big fan anyway, and he really knows his stuff. And he's just very relaxed, isn't he? I think, if anything, people criticise him for not leading the panel more. But I did. For me, that wasn't a problem. I thought he was great. He just he lets the people speak. That's what I like about him. He's a bit like a fan just talking to them on stage, basically, isn't it? So
Yeah, I thought it was perfectly balanced.
me too.
His interview, because he did say at the beginning as well that he's not going to talk too much. He wants them to talk to you guys, and because otherwise, what's the point of them being on there? Because they're not on there for that long. What was it, 45 minutes?
Yeah,
Something like that. So,
Yeah.
and there was 4 of them as well. So, all respect to Toby, I thought he did really well. And that was the vibe that I got from that talk on the Saturday. I'm not sure how it went on the Friday, and I know that on the Sunday it was quite emotional because I think Capaldi gave Jenna Coleman a big bouquet of flowers, and it was quite emotional.
yeah,
But I think on our one there was lots of love for Clara and Jenna Coleman
oh, and, yeah.
in our talk.
Yeah, big time. She got the majority of the questions, which kind of annoyed me a bit, actually. I felt a bit sorry for Peter. It's like every time someone stood up, they're like, got a question for Jenna, and I was like, oh, because I was just like, yeah, I know she's leaving and that, but yeah, there definitely was the most love in the room was for Jenna, and she, I just felt a bit sorry for Peter because a lot of the time he was just sort of sat there and it was question after question for Jenna, but she was great. I mean, I'm so glad that she actually got added to the festival because it obviously been, we know that she's departing the series soon, so it was great to sort of get to hear her, and they were teasing her about that, weren't they? I think we both said this afterwards that Peter and Stephen are obviously genuinely gutted that she's left, because there was a couple of comments made, but you can sort of tell that they really are, gonna miss her and are quite upset that she's going.
Yeah. There was that one question as well where somebody said, if you could bring back a companion to work with who's left the show, who would it be?
Yeah.
And Peter and Stephen in sync instantly said Clara.
Yeah.
Without
yeah.
even thinking about it. So that was quite sweet. But yeah, you can tell that they're genuinely not happy about her leaving at this point. But
she got to talk the most. I mean, I think Missy she got a massive round of applause when she was on screen. She didn't get asked that many questions, and nor did, I think Toby sort of spoke to them a bit, didn't he?
Yeah.
Ingrid Oliver, he talked about how was it playing sort of 2 versions of herself and all that sort of thing. And Peter did get asked a few questions. He got asked sort of the traditional, what monster would you like to bring back? And he said the Zarbi, which got him into quite a nice conversation with the Moff about it. And
yeah,
that was quite a nice moment, I thought.
yeah, I think the Moff said, I think he said the Sea Devils.
Yes, he
He'd
did.
like
Yes,
to bring back, which is not a bad thing. Yeah.
I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
as long as they don't ruin them and they've still got the blue vest. But
Isn't that like the crux of everything with Doctor Who? As long as they don't ruin it.
yeah. I'm looking at the Silurians, but anyway, yeah.
And that was pretty much it, really. Jenna got most of the questions, and you can kind of understand. Although we've criticised her character quite heavily over the past couple of series, she is a very popular companion.
Very popular.
A lot of people, because some of the people, when they were asking questions, they started their question with, can I just say that you're... One girl said, you're my idol.
Yeah.
And all that kind of stuff. And a lot of people said, I can't believe I'm talking to you, and it's such an honour, and all that stuff. So she's very popular. She does get a lot of love. And but that panel was quite cool. And then the last panel was the special effects featuring Mark Gatiss. Which we wasn't really a fan of, really. We kind of we got in there, albeit a couple of minutes late, and essentially what it was, somebody was quizzing I think it's the MD or the manager at Millennium Effects, who do a lot of the computer generated visual effects stuff on the show, and Mark Gatiss was talking through, his last episode that he wrote, which is what we're going to review in a little while, and some of the effects that they had that he had wanted them to do in things like, what was the submarine Russian episode?
Cold War.
Cold War, yes. He had spoke a little bit about the effects on that and stuff, and then they basically said, give us a creature off the top of your head, and then they had like 2 special effects artists who had to work up a design by the end of the talk and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So it was okay, but I found myself drifting off a little bit with that one. Not to say that I'm not interested in that stuff. I am. I think it was just the way that panel was run was just a little bit slow for me.
Yeah, it was, and Mark didn't really seem on top form either. I mean, I've seen him interviewed, and he can be he's quite a charismatic guy and stuff. And he seemed a bit flat, didn't he? I thought he didn't seem as quite into it. I mean, maybe it's because they're going through the same questions that they asked yesterday, and they're a bit bored of it. I don't know, but it wasn't as engaging as the other panel. Let's put it that way. And and we were aware that the clock was ticking towards the end of the day at that point, and I went and asked the security guard what time it finished, because I wanted to go back into the merchandise hall because hadn't really had much of a chance to sort of properly look around it. And he told me 5 o'clock. So I was like, we either watch the end of this and it's going to close, or we go back in the room. And we decided to go back in the room. As it turns out, it was actually 6 o'clock that it finished, so we needn't have rushed off. But but to be fair, it wasn't. Yeah, I don't think we really missed much. We pretty much watched most of it, and it, like you said, it was interesting in its way, but it wasn't that. I don't think we missed much.
No. Yeah. So that was the three panels there.
Yeah.
Which are overall very good. And then the rest of the day was just so the night before, the Friday night, and all of Saturday. The rest of the time was just hanging out with other Who fans.
Yeah.
And doing some shopping. They had some good stalls there. It was funny. One of the guys that we met on the Friday night, and we also hung out with a little bit, was a young chap called Ben Lett.
Oh, Ben, yeah.
Ben. And he had told us the night before that he was going to pick up the Big Chief Studios Peter Capaldi figure. And it was the festival exclusive.
Yeah.
And literally, because I watched the flood of people queuing up and walking into the event, and I saw him walking through, and when we got in there, which was probably about 10 minutes later, no more than that, we pretty much bumped into those guys, and he already had it in his hands. So we were saying earlier about half of the day was about all the stars and behind the scenes and panels and stuff. The other half was pretty much shopping. He had done nearly 200 quid in like 10 minutes. It was nuts.
I really wanted that. Doctor. I was quite restrained actually with the merchandise, but what was funny is you actually ended up carrying it round for most of the day. I kept saying, I'm going to steal that. I'm going to have that. And I was winding Ben up, and I actually think Ben was getting a bit worried, bless him. He was like, because I kept saying, I'm going to have that. And he's like, no, where is Gary? Where is Gary? I need to get it back. And he's getting a bit panicky. I think he thought we were actually going to run off with it, because it was a nice thing to get actually. And exclusive to the festival as well, so I hear that a lot of them are already on eBay for silly prices. But it's a nice thing.
Yeah, shopping was okay. They had some pretty good stalls there. They had the festival's own merchandise in store, where you could buy like official T-shirts and other bits and bobs, and they also had like Pop Funkos and loads of like classic Who DVDs and
I loved
toys
the
and mugs and all that stuff.
Yeah, I loved the barbecue tongs in the big giant sonic screwdriver barbecue tongs.
Yeah, they tickled you, didn't they?
Yeah,
you wanted to get those.
Did buy them, but what did you buy? Because I didn't get that much actually. Did you? I can't remember what you got now.
Yeah,
no, you got a Christmas jumper.
Yeah, so I got the blue Crimbo jumper, which is quite cool.
Yeah,
and then I had some other stalls that had like Forbidden Planet were there. They had the Titan Comics guys were there. They had another effects company there. One of the things that I bought was from Rubbertoe props, and it's the little Siege Mode TARDIS, the little cube thing, which I absolutely love. It's pride and place on the shelf at the moment. So that was really cool, and they had it at a slightly cheaper price as well than off the website. So I thought, grab that. I also got I picked up an adipose plush for the wife because she thinks they're really cute. I also, what else did I get? I've got some other. Oh, I got
You got the program for
got
the
the
day.
program,
didn't
the
you?
official program book, yeah. And I got another couple of bits as well, but I cannot remember what I got. Yeah, I got some other bits and pieces as well, and I had a couple of collector stands there as well, which was quite cool. So that was more like stuff that you wouldn't see in like the mainstream, like the official store and Forbidden Planet and stuff. So overall, it was quite cool. You picked up a couple of bits, didn't you?
Yeah, I was going to say. Surprisingly, I think you got a lot more than me. I only really bought I bought a Funko exclusive TARDIS. It's kind of a half disappearing TARDIS, which I hadn't actually seen before. So I got that, and I got a Titan, a 4.5-inch Titan of the 10th Doctor in his sort of, what do you call it, tuxedo, isn't it? I think it's from Men in Steel, perhaps that episode.
Age of Steel, yeah.
Age of Steel, yeah. So that's pretty much all I bought, and I got like the program for the day, which was quite nice. It was like a sort of hardback binder more than a program, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I got that, and I was going to get a T-shirt, but they didn't have my size. I quite liked the T-shirts because James from Who Alex Reviews was rocking his T-shirt all day, and I kept thinking I really like that. So I was going to get one of those, but yeah, by the time I got to the stand, they hadn't got my size. But I think all the merch has actually gone on sale on the BBC shop. So if there were, you can, I may still pick one up actually.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So yeah, it's quite reserved with the merch, considering I would have loved to have got that 12th Doctor that Ben got, but I just sadly didn't have £200 on my hip that day.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
What else did we see that was good? I mean, there was loads of stuff. I love those figurine things. The sort of, I kept saying porcelain, they're not, but do you know what I mean? There was like a Yeti and a TARDIS, and those things really caught my eye.
Oh yes, yeah. They had
Yeah.
like a range of classic monsters and
I
a
don't know, what
TARDIS
are they
as well.
made of? What are they?
I think they're just resin,
Resin. Yeah,
like resin things. Yeah,
quite big figures. I really, really liked those. Those definitely caught my eye.
yeah. They did look good actually. The Yeti was really good.
Oh, Yeti was brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it really. Yeah, that's all I really bought. I did like the Christmas jumper you got. I was very tempted with that. I still might get one of those.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's really comfy as well.
Is it?
So that was pretty much shopping. Oh, and they had Big Finish there as well.
Yeah.
And they had loads of stuff there. And I really, really wanted to pick up the Colin Baker, The Last Adventure.
Oh,
And
so
I
good
thought,
that is.
yeah, and I thought they're bound to have it slightly cheaper, but they didn't. And the thing, I was really, really tempted. I really wanted it, but I thought to myself, I'm not. Out of all the other Doctors that have done Big Finish, the Sixth Doctor isn't my biggest. I'm not the biggest fan of the Sixth Doctor enough to spend £40. That was the crux of it.
Right.
I probably would have spent 30 quid at a push to get it, but I wasn't going to spend. It was the most expensive Big Finish there.
It's surprising they hadn't reduced it, because a lot of the other stuff was reduced.
Yeah.
Just typical that one wasn't. I have to say, I know what you're saying about Colin, but do you know what? Surprisingly, I mean, he is probably one of the best actually on Big Finish. He's so good on the Big Finish audios, Colin.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. That's what I was going to say. I really enjoy him on Big Finish, really, really do, but not enough to spend £40
Yeah.
on him. So if it was 30 quid, I would have got it. But yeah, there was just something that was telling me like, no, I can't spend 40 quid on a Colin Baker. That sounds bad because it's nothing against Colin. It's just yeah. So anyway, because they had a load of stuff there that was like 25 quid. They had stuff there for 30 quid and stuff, and that was all kind of what you expect for like, convention reduced prices and stuff. But the £40, yeah. So Big Finish were there, and they had quite a lot of staff there, and Lisa Bowman was there. That was quite cool.
Yeah.
So that was the shopping, really. That was the shopping part of it. And I think you'll agree with me, mate. But the thing that made the whole weekend really cool was the people, was being around other Who fans and stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. We met up with some really cool people. We were there with the Who Addicts guys, James and Matt, Liv, Team Drew.
Team Drew.
Yeah, Callum, Cousins.
Tom Dix from Epic Who.
Tom Dix, yeah. Who else were we knocking about with?
Ben Letts, the host productions.
Ben Letts, yeah.
There's the little chap, Bradley, the Sixth Doctor.
Yeah, his cosplay was awesome.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah. And so those were the guys that we met up with on the Friday night. We went around London for a little bit and found a bar and talked to, and that was all really good. And just it was really cool to meet other Who fans as well, because quite often throughout the day there'd be like, we'd be walking through a crowd of people and there'd be someone that would go, Gary?
Yeah.
You're Gary, right? Big Blue Box Podcast? I'd be like, yeah. It's like, I just want to say, yeah, listen, it's really, really cool. So that was really nice to have that throughout the day. And it's nice. It's nice when you guys come up and say that you're enjoying the show and stuff. So that was very, very cool.
Yeah, it's good to see us. We saw a chap called Theo. If you remember, he had the same scarf on as me, the burgundy Tom Baker scarf. And Theo was my 100th like on my Geeks Handbook Facebook page when I started. So it was good to see Theo and have a good chat with him and stuff.
Yeah.
It was just, it's just great to hang around with people that, you know, like you said, the Who addicts who often send in audio clips and people like that. Just to hang around with fellow Who fans is just incredible, you know, and just chat with them and talk about episodes and, you know, just really, what's the word? Fanboy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just great.
It was really good. So that was the festival in a nutshell. Overall, I would say it was really, really good. I can't say, I don't know if anyone would agree with this, but I can't say that it's nearly £70 worth of good.
We talked about this on the way out, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah.
There's one overriding thing about the whole weekend, right from when they announced this was happening months ago. It's all about the money to the BBC. That's the thing that, you know, because the ticket itself was quite expensive to begin with. Before you even set foot in the door, you've already spent nearly 70 quid. And there was lots of tweets on Facebook at the time around, you know, families of 4 or 5. And it was costing them so much money to go. And a lot of people boycotted it and said, no, I'm not going to spend that much to go to the festival. So you had that to begin with. And then the photo, you had the fiasco with booking photo ops and stuff. And they were quite expensive.
Yeah, they were £30 each.
£30 a pop. So if you had like, you know, a couple of photo opportunities, that's another 60 quid, you know, gone. And then when you got there, it was very much, they had like merchandising stands outside. They had like a whole big area cordoned off for official merchandise. And as you went in and you went past the Davros chamber and stuff, you know, you kind of led into the stalls, you know, and all that stuff. So it's very much, I'm not sure how anyone else feels about that, but my point of view on it is, yes, it's great and it was fantastic to meet other Who fans and all that stuff, but there's still a little side of me that it's like, yeah, this is, you know, this is very much a money-making machine for the BBC. Everything was about purchasing something.
I have to agree with you, mate. I mean, we had a fantastic day and, you know, come out of there on a real big high, but we were both saying this as we walked out. That day was made by the people that we were with.
Yes.
Because, you know, it was just interacting with those guys. That's not to take away the panel events and everything, which were also really good fun. But we both said, if, like, for example, me at the 50th, I didn't know any of you guys then, so I spent the whole day on my own. If I'd paid 70 quid on that day, I would not have felt I got value for money. And so if I'd have been at this event on my own, I don't think we got £70 worth on the day. To be honest with you, it was made by the people that we met. To be honest with you, I mean, the thing is, when we first went in, there was those costumes and props and everything. That was a great little area, but it was so small and there was so much room. They could have really spread that out. I kept thinking this. When you watch the video, when we first go in, there's all this room, and like all those costumes were just in a tiny little area, and the queue was massive, and I really don't know why they didn't spread that out. And they could have had some more sort of, you know, like they could have had some more monsters and that there. So that I don't think really there was £70 worth of. I don't think there was good value for money in terms of the ticket. And obviously, like you said, when you factor in the other costs like the photos, travelling, hotels, and everything else, that a lot of people, including myself, would have had to pay.
Yeah, me too. Yep.
Yeah. It's just I don't think the ticket was good value for money. But that's
Yeah.
as I say, we had a great day, but it was mainly made by the other people that we met that day, I think.
Yeah,
You know,
it was you guys that did it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Without a doubt. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, there's already talk of them doing another one next year.
See, this is it. Would we see? I'd do it again, but it is the price, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm thinking that if it's the same price or even more, I probably won't go.
I certainly wouldn't go if it was more. No way. I would literally go up and meet people on the Friday night and do that, and I wouldn't go to the festival because there's no way I'd pay another 70 quid for, you know, a couple of panel shows and a room full of merchandise.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to say. No. If they do it again next year and the ticket price is, what was it, 68 quid?
68 quid and then a couple of quid admin or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, so if it's that price again or more, then I'll probably skip it. But I will go up on the Friday night and hang out with some people, but just skip the festival.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'd be exactly the same, and I'd probably, because I told you that once I'd had a few drinks, I'd be on a roll, and I was ready to rock and roll on the Friday when you reined me in. We went home. We only had a couple, didn't we? And we went back to the hotel. But yeah, if they do it again next year, and it is that price, I'll come up with you. We'll get smashed in London.
We'll get smashed and then go home on Saturday. Yeah,
yeah.
So I don't want to put too much of a down on it. It was a great weekend, but
it was.
That wasn't down to the BBC. That was down to all of you. So thanks for that. It's really cool.
Yeah, I concur that absolutely. Yeah.
So festival done. Shall we land this rant in TARDIS and get on with some news?
Yeah, let's do it.
The final two episodes of Series 9, Heaven Sent and Hellbent, they're going to have extended runtimes. Yeah,
which is good.
Interesting. So normally, what does it run at? 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the final two, these are this is the finale ones, isn't it?
Yeah. So yes. We're into it already. Can you believe it? Yeah.
So the final two will run for slightly longer. So Heaven Sent will go at 55 minutes and Hellbent will go for 65 minutes. So that's almost a movie.
Pretty much.
You know, if you think about some movies that are on the shorter end of the scale, around 90 minutes, 88, 90 minutes, you're not far, especially Hellbent, which is 65 minutes, you're not far off almost a feature.
Yeah, and I like the fact they're longer as well, because obviously there's always a pressure to get these things edited down and cut scenes, and you know, whenever you watch a movie, there's deleted scenes because they've had to cut it for reasons. And I quite like the fact that obviously they've got enough footage that they feel is good enough and needs to be in the episode, that they've let it go to that length. Do you know what I mean? That they haven't said, we ought to round it up to an hour, or no, but they've kept it to 65 minutes and 55. So that suggests that, you know, there should be some good material in there. Do you know what I mean? That there isn't any filler.
Yeah, absolutely, which is good. And one thing that we've been used to over the past this series and Series 8, which annoys the hell out of me, is the bloody... Hold on. Damn Strictly Come Dancing. Damn it all into the fires of bloody damn hell.
Yes, damn that. You've been hanging around with the Moth too much. He uses bloody, all this swearing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, mate, why can't the show... well, we know why, because of flipping Strictly. But it's so annoying that a programme as important and as popular and as well viewed as Doctor Who cannot be on at a consistent time each week. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it does drive me mad having to constantly check every week when it's on. And I literally do. It's not even an exaggeration. I never know when it's on. Yeah.
No,
and nor does anyone else, because I spend the last half an hour just chatting to people. When's it on? I don't know. I'll have a look. You know what I mean? It's infuriating.
Exactly the same thing. Whenever I want to see, right, when's Doctor Who on? I literally have no idea.
No.
So I'm going to have to Google it and go on Radio Times or something, or Sky, and find out. But anyway, the first part of it, Heaven Sent, is on at 5 minutes past 8 on the 28th of November. And then the finale, Hellbent, is on at exactly 8 o'clock on the 5th of December.
Excellent.
And those two will obviously follow on and deal with what's happened in episode 10, which is on tomorrow night, Face the Raven. So that's going to be an interesting see how they follow on from that stuff.
Like you said, if you put even just the two of them together, you've got pretty much a film. If you put the three of them together, which they kind of all, by the sounds of it, are going to sort of, flow into each other by the looks of it.
Yes.
You've got, I was going to say, let's just hope it's a great finale, because it's been a good run, this series, I think, overall. Overall, there's been a couple of little glitches, but it's been a good run.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping, I've got high hopes for the finale this year, because there's been, some official synopsis released for them, which give an awful lot away, actually, I have to say. I mean, I read them and I was quite shocked how much information they give, and I'm not going to say it on here because people might not want that stuff ruined for them, but from what I've read, these sound really epic.
Yes.
So I've got high hopes. I'm just hoping we don't get another Death in Heaven, because that was such a killer of a, it was such a letdown to Series 8. So I'm really hoping these live up to the promise, which it looks like they're going to. I'm very, very excited for this finale.
Yes.
And I'll tell you what I did love as well. The Moth was saying about the Christmas special, just jumping ahead. He's been chatting a lot to Russell T Davies recently, and he was saying that he had pretty much planned to leave at the end of the Christmas special coming up.
Yeah.
Before he signed on for Series 10, but he'd pretty much decided that was him going. And he'd chatted to Russell, and Russell had turned around to him and said, "You know what? If that's going to be your last episode, just do what the hell you want. Don't worry about anything. Just go out with what Don't think of the consequences. Just do whatever you want." And so the Moth wrote it in that style, and then decided, I'm going to stay. So I'm really thinking, what's going to happen in that Christmas? It's made me more excited for the Christmas special as well, because I'm just sort of thinking, wow, he's written it thinking it's his last charade, if you like. Yeah. It's going to be good. But yeah, very excited for this finale.
It's interesting you say that he's been talking to Russell a lot recently, because his influence has been on Series 9, because one of the things that annoyed the heck out of me from Matt Smith's era, for most of it, was every single episode, and I could be wrong here, so please tell me, guys, if I'm wrong, but one of the things that annoyed me was there was never any mention or even recognition of David Tennant's era. So the Doctor never mentions Rose or Martha or any of those from Russell's era. It's only recently that we've started to see Tennant pop up in this series and stuff, and the mention of past companions, but especially for things like Series 5, 6, and I think for most of 7, they never even acknowledge any of the previous Doctors or any events from Russell T Davies's era.
Yeah, you could be right. I think when it started, he obviously wanted to put his stamp on it, but I think maybe he got a bit carried away. Yeah, because he almost started to rewrite Russell's era, didn't he?
Yeah,
quite clearly as well. I know what you mean.
But anyways, you can tell that he's been talking to Russell recently.
Yeah, you can. And it's had a lot of these episodes have had a more RTD feel about them in a way. I think like even the Zygon one, it was sort of action-packed, fast-moving, humour. Do you know what I mean? To me, that felt a little bit more like going back to the Russell T Davies era. Yeah. Not quite as much. I mean, Russell was quite light-hearted at times. But do you know what I mean? This series has definitely had a bit more RTD feel about it at times, I think.
Yeah, you're right, actually.
Than we've had before.
Yeah.
So anyway, great news about that. Running times, can't wait to bring on the final. But obviously we've got Face the Raven first, which, well, again, we've heard a lot about this, and they're really putting it out there about things that are going to be in it. So interesting to see what we get.
Yeah.
Right, in other news, last bit of news actually, we've had some details released for this War Doctor set coming out from Big Finish. They've put it up for pre-order. It's coming out next month as well. It seems like, because normally when they announce stuff, it's so far in advance, but this is coming out next month. It's a good price as well at the minute. The pre-order price is £20. Presumably that'll jump up to 40 at some point.
I assume so, yeah.
Yeah, it's just strange, isn't it, that they double the price? I still can't get my head around that. But anyway, yeah, get it while it's a good price.
Get it while it's hot.
They've released the art. Yeah, get it while it's hot. They've released the artwork for it and the disc covers and stuff, and it looks brilliant, doesn't it? It's called the Doctor Who, The War Doctor 1, Only the Monstrous.
Yeah.
Brilliant title. John Hurt, obviously. It's also got Jacqueline Pearce in it, who I love from Blake 7. Blake! So great cast. They've released the names of... Because is it a 4 or 5 disc set? There's 4...
It's a 3-story.
3-story, 4-disc set, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the 3 stories are The Innocent, The Thousand Worlds, and The Heart of Battle. So some good titles in there. And it just looks brilliant. I mean, I am definitely going to be pre-ordering this.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to how John Hurt sounds as well, because he's got a very distinctive voice and he's almost got that Gandalf vibe.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. He's got this very wise, has been there, very much been there and done it and got the T-shirt in terms of his role as the Doctor. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how he stacks up on Big Finish. I'm assuming it's going to be very good because he's a great actor. I can't imagine this being one of the bad ones.
No, not at all. I gotta say, he's quite gravelly voice now, isn't he, John? Over the years, his voice has become, like you said, quite gritty and quite gravelly. I'm really looking forward to it. It says here as well that recording is also completed on the second War Doctor set, so he's already recorded that, and that's going to be called Infernal Devices. Cool. Interesting.
Yep.
And it says more details to come soon, so presumably that'll be up for pre-order. But yeah, I would like to get this, and I'm also tempted to get that unit. What's it called? Unit, not Dominion, is it? No, what's the one with Kate Stewart? Extinction.
Extinction. Oh, the new one. Yeah.
Because that's going to jump up in price any day now. And I'm hearing, because wasn't sure about it, but I'm hearing really good things from people about that release.
Yes. Yep.
So I'm tempted to get that and this one while they're still at a decent price. And just hope that the postman doesn't nick them, basically.
Oh no!
But they both sound really good, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Big Finish on a roll as usual.
Pretty much. Oh, just quickly, while I think of it, did you hear that little snippet of the 10th Doctor audio that they released yesterday?
I did. Yes.
How good was that? I mean, a little bit shouty, but they've just slipped straight back into it, haven't they?
Yeah. That's going to be a cracker.
I was getting the feels, weren't you?
I was indeed. I'm not just saying that because I'm a 10th Doctor fan, but I honestly think that one's going to be, because David Tennant and Catherine Tate, they are so good together. I think that's going to be a good one.
They're a match made in heaven for Big Finish as well. I just think they'll be so good on audio, those two.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be good. So yeah, loads of good stuff to throw your money at from Big Finish.
Yes, indeed. That is going to wrap for news. Adam, my good fellow.
Yeah, hello.
What are we going to be reviewing this week?
This week, Gary, and I'm turning to dust as I speak, it's Sleep No More.
There are no cameras here. No CCTV. No helmet cams. So how and why does this footage even exist? The dust has been watching us. Each little organic speck. Just a tiny spy. Drifting through the air. The monsters have been with us all along. That's why the Sandmen are blind. Their visual receptors are being hijacked. But by whom and why? And then there's this. That's you, Clara. That's you looking at me.
Me?
You entered the pod. The Morpheus process has begun.
Well,
there's nothing here from Chopper's point of view. Because he refuses to use Morpheus, but everybody else is here, including you. You don't have a camera, Clara. But you will have by now. Sleep in your eye.
okay, well, we'll fix this. You will fix this.
Yes.
I think there's something else that needs fixing before that.
Yeah.
Right.
Good luck with the synopsis on this one.
Yeah, so Sleep No More. As you've probably already seen, this is one of the forays into a slightly different approach to how they make episodes of Who. So this one dives into the found footage thing. And it picks up from, it looks like a vlog from one of the main characters. He's telling you the story, and he's telling you it via lots of video clips, essentially. And the Doctor and Clara have already landed on this space station. And they're having a poke around, which you don't really know at first, because the story starts with after this kind of strange intro with Rasmussen. Something's happened on the station, and these small team of completely and utterly useless rescue party soldiers, I guess, turn up to see if there's any survivors and sort stuff out. And then things quickly escalate into panic, because they discover these very weird creatures, which turns out that they're made of, that they're made out of sand. But it's not really sand, it's like dust particles and stuff from
from the machine.
Yeah. And yeah, so it's down to the Doctor and Clara to save the day as usual. But we don't really know if they save the day, because the episode ends on such a strange, unconclusive thing. Yeah.
See, the thing is, when I finished watching this, I didn't know it was a standalone. I thought every story in this series was a two-parter.
Yeah.
So I kind of when it finished, I thought, what on earth is that? Because the Doctor actually says, none of it makes any sense. And I thought, well, hopefully they'll explain this in the next one, because I have no idea what just went on. And then, obviously, it is a standalone episode, because next week has got absolutely nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, just while I remember, because you've just played that clip, one of the things that really gets me about this episode, really burns the bacon, to quote you, Gary, that Clara says there about her eye, and the Doctor's like, don't worry, we'll fix it. We're going to fix it. We never come back to that. And so has she still got this dust in her eye? Oh, I don't know. But anyway, yeah. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, and that's the long and short of it, really. So this is Mark Gatiss written episode.
Yeah. No title sequence. It was kind of done, like you said, this found footage, so they thought we'll take out the title sequence. So there's a very brief moment at the start where we get this sort of almost Matrix-style writing, and it's got Doctor Who hidden in the letters, thousands of letters. And I also saw Oswald hidden in it, and I'm sure there's lots of other things hidden in it and stuff. Just out of interest, actually, before we really get into this one, how many times have you watched it?
I've watched this twice.
Same as me. I've watched it twice as well.
Yeah.
I definitely. It's one of those episodes. I have to be completely honest. I didn't even want to watch it again. It was a real struggle to put it on. But I hadn't made notes the first time, so I was like, I've got to watch it again. And I always think it's worth watching the episode twice. And I have to say, it does benefit from a second watch, because I actually not because I enjoyed it more, but I actually understood it a lot more a second time. There were so many things I missed the first time round, and I think the reason for that is the fact it's such an unengaging episode, because there's some great ideas in here. There's some dreadful ideas as well, but there's some great stuff bubbling under the surface of this episode, and the actual idea and concept behind it is not bad, but it's so unengaging that I missed all of that pretty much on a first watch. So yeah, I went back and I watched it a second time. It probably does need a third watch to really get it, because there are still some bits that I just don't understand. Like the Sandmen, I don't even know if they're real, because basically the whole thing is constructed by Reece Shearsmith's character Rasmussen. He's constructed the whole thing. That's the big twist at the end.
Yeah.
It's all him. He's orchestrated everything. The engine's failing. Everything you see, he's orchestrated it. So are the Sandman real? They're the glitch in the video. There's just so many bits I just still haven't quite got my head around. I mean, they are real, aren't they? Presumably.
Yes.
They're there.
Yeah.
But how does he orchestrate it in the way that it's played out on screen? I just don't know. It's I don't know about you. Did you get more from it on a second viewing?
No.
You didn't.
No. I kind of knew what was going on the first watch. It was more the ending that threw me off because because we find out at the end that Rasmussen was actually one of those sand creatures all along.
Yeah.
But he kind of disguised himself, doesn't he, or glitched, as they call it, to not reveal himself. But
because that's, to be honest with you, that's the only bit really that I really like, is that very, very last scene where he's saying, because the thing is, the interference in the picture, which is one of my notes I made the first time I watched it was, when I was watching it, was that it's so overdone, that thing of the camera keep glitching and stuff. So when it turns out that that's actually the signal, the thing that's going to put this into your brain, and then he turns to sand. So that's the only bit of the episode I think is really cool. I liked that twist. I didn't get it the first time,
right?
Because I was I've never watched an episode or two and just sat at my screen for like 2 minutes afterwards, just staring at a blank screen, because I just really didn't know what I just watched. But I did like that twist ending and him fading away. That's about the only bit I really kind of got.
Yeah,
if you like, I liked that twist because the fact it was in the video, not anything else. So that was all right.
Yeah.
So where do we start?
Yeah. Oh, crikey. I'm really, really, really miffed at Mark Gatiss and Stephen Moffat on this one.
Yeah.
Which totally just, I said earlier that Moffat's such a cool guy and stuff like that. On this occasion, I think him and Mark have completely... I cannot fathom how they didn't watch this back afterwards and think, what have we done? I'm honestly, my mind is boggled and confused. How, well, not even to that point, how this ever got into production in the first place is just beyond me.
Right.
I don't think I've ever watched an episode of Doctor Who and then afterwards thought to myself, I hated that.
Really? Okay.
I absolutely hated it.
Wow. See, I don't hate it.
I hate it.
Right.
I think it's one of the most pointless, terribly acted, terribly written, just nonsensical rubbish that I've ever watched from Who.
Wow. Strong words.
They are strong words. And
yeah, no, that's your opinion, absolutely. And I probably would have been with you 100% after a first watch, but I can see more to it. I can get more from it. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, I don't know. As I said, I do think there's a couple of good ideas bubbling under the surface here.
Like what?
Well, I like the Morpheus machine. I mean, and as I say, this glitch in the video and stuff like that. And I think, to be honest with you, my biggest issue with this episode is the way it's been produced and directed.
Okay.
That's my personal feelings. I do think there is substance in there that could have made for a good episode, but I just find the way. Okay, so let's start with the fact it's found footage.
Yep.
For a start, none of it feels like found footage at all. It hasn't even got that style about it. It's all the audio's clear, and I know it turns out to be cameras in dust in the air or whatever, but which is again, I can't get my head around how's that even recording stuff. But anyway, but yeah, it's just the overall sort of pacing, direction, and style of this episode, which could have been improved. Trust me, mate. I know you think it's an absolute car crash, but there are bits in there. If this had been done differently, I think we could have had a half decent episode. But it's just all thrown in the bin because it's just so flatly directed, and yeah, that's the biggest issue I have with this episode. It's just the way it was produced, because I think some of the ideas, like the whole found footage and the Morpheus machine and the monsters and that terror threat, and you know, the fact that it's this evil guy played by Reece Shearsmith, who's a great actor,
He is good,
but doesn't
yeah.
give a great performance. I kept thinking he's really not giving 100% in this.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I just think he could have been brilliant at it. This, trust me, I think if this had been done right, this could have been a really dark, sinister, scary episode. But
Yeah.
it just wasn't produced right.
Yeah, I totally agree. And
That's what I feel about it.
yeah, so the whole found footage thing,
Yeah.
this is one of the things that I'm annoyed about. The way that, because it's one of those things where it's just pure frustration, because we've said it a few times on the show where we've reviewed poor episodes, but there's like an underpinning concept that could potentially be really good.
Yeah.
You know, and the thing with the found footage for me was they've tried to fool the viewer. They've tried to. It's basically like a load of filmmakers trying to pretend that this is, because the audience isn't stupid. You know, the whole concept of found footage has been around for years now, so we know how it works, and we know that there are some movies that have done really well from the found footage thing and some that are really poor. But what they've done is, like you've said, the way that it's been directed and the way that it's been framed and edited and stuff, it's like it's almost like a normal episode of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
But they've just put some film grain over the top, and they've put like this choppy sound effect in every 10 seconds to try and fool you into thinking that it's found footage. But it's just it's almost a standard episode, but they've just layered crap over the top to make you think like, oh, this is, and it just fails at every single point.
Yeah, it
'Cause it's
didn't feel
not.
like that. It
No.
didn't feel like found footage. And like you said, they're sort of almost treating the audience like idiots, because I mean, I'm sure you were the same. When the doctor sort of goes, Clara, but that's from your point of view. And I'm thinking, yeah, I realised that 20 minutes ago.
Of
Come
course,
on.
yeah.
It's like, of course we realised this. It just didn't work. You know, that if that was supposed to be a shock twist revelation, it just, like you said, fell really flat.
Yeah.
And also, there's ways of making things scary. Okay, this episode had no title sequence. It had barely any music.
Yeah.
Okay, obviously all done on purpose, you know, to try and make it feel real and stuff. But you can use sound effects and dread, and you know, there are ways of getting, you know, sort of music sound effects in there to add a bit of ambience. But there was hardly anything.
Yeah.
It could have been done so much better. Basically,
It could have been really scary as well. But
It could have been, yeah.
The thing with found footage is that if you're going to do that stuff correctly, then you have to put yourself in the mind of somebody who's potentially terrified of what's happening. And because you wouldn't, so say if you personally were in that situation where you're on a space station, what was it called? The Le Verrier space station, or in orbit around Neptune, conveniently. If you were in that situation and you were being hunted by these sand creatures and stuff, you wouldn't go into a room and go into that room and think, right, I need to get everyone's face in my line of vision as if I'm filming a program.
Yeah.
You know, it's found footage is a lot more messier and choppier, and not everything is in frame. And it's one of those things where with found footage, it lets your mind fill in the blanks and create an image in your head of what's happening, because you're watching something and you'll think, turn around, I can't see, turn around. But
Exactly.
the way that this was done was that everything was there for you. Everything was done as if it was a normal episode. They just tried to lull you into thinking this was found footage. And the more I think about it and the more I talk about it, the more it's winding me up.
Yeah, because it never felt like found footage to me at all. And yeah, I know you sort of get to the end and it's supposed to all been orchestrated by this guy and everything. But yeah, like you said, it could have been so much more effective.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I'm not a big fan of found footage films anyway, because I think they've had their time. And like you said, they're a bit old hat now. So when this was first announced, my first impression was, because Doctor Who's been trying to sort of keep itself fresh. I mean, the Moff has said himself, he found himself slipping into a bit of a rut and, sort of almost doing it by numbers. He really wanted to shake things up in Series 8 and 9.
Yeah.
And he's kind of done a good job of that. I mean, if you look at Series 7, it was very much la-da-da, you could sort of almost see everything coming. He did shake things up. So when he announced this found footage episode, I was thinking it was almost a step back straight away. I was thinking, oh dear, that's been done to death. Why are you doing that? But I thought, it might work. It might work. So already it felt a bit old hat to me.
Yeah, I read you.
So
yeah, I mean, and that's one of the things why I'm really the thing that burns my bacon the most about it is that you've got a seasoned Doctor Who writer. Mark Gatiss is not his first rodeo.
No.
And you've got the Moff. So the two of them together should have come up with something a million times better than this. That's what it's not like we've got a first time writer and you think, you've kind of you haven't nailed it on your first one out the trap sort of thing, but hopefully in the future you'll turn something in that's a lot better. This is a guy that has been a Who fan for most of his life, knows Doctor Who inside out, has written at least one very good Doctor Who episode. No, two really good episodes. And you've got the Moff who oversees it all and should have been on it and should have said, we can't do this. We cannot do this.
Or we need to change that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you watch this back, I mean, you can't. It's almost as if they went to lunch, isn't it, and left someone to finish it up.
Yeah.
And then said, "Oh, well done, put it in the can." Yeah. If you'd have been watching this back, you would have thought, right, we got to do something about this because it's. I think its biggest crime is it's not entertaining. It's so slow and it's just so unengaging as an episode. I think is one of its biggest downfalls. Do you know what I mean? It's like some of the other stuff you could excuse, but it's so.
And it's lazy. It's lazy.
It's lazy.
Writing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if we think back to Under the Lake, where the Doctor and Clara, they've gone inside this undersea base. It's kind of like the classic Under Siege thing. And they're getting hunted by these ghosts and they run into a room and shut the door. This is all the same. It's the same stuff.
And it's the same blimmin' set.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah, that's one of the first things I wrote, actually, is because I think I said this when Under the Lake went out. So I always but when you get a group of people in a base under siege and that, I'm like, it's been done to death.
Yeah.
And I think I said that in Under the Lake, but it kind of worked an awful lot better. Mm-hmm. So when we get another group of people in a base under siege, I'm like, oh, that was the first note I wrote. I was like, oh, here we go again. It just felt so unoriginal. Mm-hmm. And which brings me on to the cast, because if you're gonna have a group of people getting knocked off in a base under siege, at least make them likable or flesh out their characters, because that was the good thing about Under the Lake. By the time we got to the end of episode 1, you'd got to know them a bit and you kind of cared about them. People were getting knocked off left, right and centre in this, mostly off camera, so you didn't even know if they were alive or dead. But you didn't care at all about them. I mean, you had the grunt guy, for example. What was that idea? It was kind of just thrown in there and never went anywhere.
Well, it was a woman, wasn't it?
Well, the grunt.
Yeah.
See, this goes to show how unengaged I was. See, I've watched this twice. I thought the grunt was that bloke who's forced to sing the song, bom, 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 bom. I thought was that the grunt?
No.
Right.
That was a guy that got separated quite early on.
Oh, see, I couldn't keep track of the characters. I still don't know any of their names.
Yeah.
So who was the main characters in this?
So I reckon the guy that was the soldier that refused to use the Morpheus machine, which I forgot to mention in the synopsis at the beginning, really. But the Morpheus machine is this thing that the main character Rasmussen has been working on, where I think you spend 5 hours in this pod, and it adjusts your brain chemistry, and you can stay awake for a month or something.
Yeah.
But this guy, one of the soldiers, his name was called Chopra.
Right.
And he's the one that was a bit shouty in attitude. He refuses to use it, which is why he has no dust in his eyes to act as a camera.
Right.
As footage from his dust in his eyes. But so there was that guy. There was the leader of their squadron called Nagata.
Was that the one with the dodgy accent?
She had
calling
the
everyone
worst
Pet?
northeastern accent
Yeah. All right,
I've
Pet.
ever. She. Oh my
Was
god!
that one? Is that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything was pet, but she. Oh.
Yeah.
Then you had the grunt, and her. She was played by an actress called Bethany Black, but her actual character name was called 747 because they're grown as soldiers, aren't they?
Right. Okay.
You know, they're grown as just frontline grunts, basically.
See, I'm totally lost now because I was. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But as I said, I've watched this twice, and I thought the grunt was that sort of bulky chap who.
No, he was like the comedian because at the very beginning, before we had that very strange kind of Matrixly style reveal of the thing, we saw those soldiers and they had a bit of banter and they were mucking about. He was the guy that was meant to be quite funny. His character name was Deep Ando. He's the guy that had to try and sing his way through
the door
because when the base was active at the Christmas party, they had reprogrammed the security doors and you had to sing.
Right. Yeah. I see. Again, this has all just gone over my head, even after 2 watches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was the one that was just about to get his bum kicked by the Sand People and managed to sing his way through at the last second.
I was half expecting you to play that blimmin' song in at the start of this. Boom, 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 boom. It kept getting played, didn't it?
Yeah.
Mr. Sandman. Always makes me think of Uncle Buck. Anyway, right.
So the supporting cast
Rubbish.
were completely dreadful.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much, I'd go too far as say is the worst I've seen in newer Doctor Who.
Yes, I'm thinking.
Honestly, mate, I can't think back. Even like some of the annoying characters and things like Robot of Sherwood and mate. Well, I'm not sure about. Anyway, one of the worst. They tried to do that little character build thing at the beginning, where they set up each character and what they're about. So we had.
Oh yeah, and it keeps, but that again kept taking me out of the story because I hate it when you get a story and it keeps stopping and starting, and that's all this episode did for the entire 45 minutes. Stopping, starting, zooming in on faces, information. Oh, it just was so hard going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we had. I mean, the main character Rasmussen. I could see that potentially that could have been a really good character.
And it's Reece Shearsmith as well.
Yes.
Who's okay, we'll overlook his performance of the Second Doctor and thing, but he's a good actor and I really do like, his stuff. I love Psychoville. It's one of my favourite things and he's capable of so much and it really felt like he was holding back in this. And I don't know if that was direction or what, but he should have brought this up and he didn't for me. At all. He was really weak, actually.
Yeah, and I thought that at the very, very beginning, I thought, okay, this could be a cool character. We could see some good stuff, but it turned out to be just exactly the same performance throughout the entire episode. There was no dynamic with him at all. No. It was just this flat all the way through.
Why was he hiding in that wall as well? When they go in there were so many little bits in this, I was just like, what's happening? There was the bit where they walk into a room near the end and the panel slides back and he's just behind it and he comes out and tells them all about his grand plan and that casket with Prisoner Zero or whatever it is and all that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's that all about?
I don't know. He was just hiding in there, wasn't he?
He's hiding in there, but when they come in, he comes out.
Yeah.
It's the worst game of hide and seek ever.
Just a part of his orchestration, isn't it? To get the viewer to watch his story about how, how he, anyway.
Yeah.
So the Sand People, the various Sand Men dotted around. No design in those at all. Just looked like they didn't even look like sand. It wasn't.
No, they didn't.
It wasn't until we had the very dodgy CG effect of them deteriorating into sand. Even then, it didn't. Just their design. It didn't look like. I mean, I'm not sure how they would. It was quite a tough brief, I suppose, for the effects guys and the costume guys. But it looked more like wet mud. It looked like real muddy. It didn't look like dry sand that would start deteriorating into grains of sand at any point. It just looked like walking muddy beehives. It was there was just no design in that at all.
They certainly didn't look like sand or sleepy dust or whatever they were meant to be.
Yeah.
I have to say, I didn't mind the design of them, like with the big mouth open as a sort of creature. You're right; they don't look like what like the brief, I would imagine. But I didn't mind the overall look of them in terms of if they were in a book or something. Like, I can imagine like a sketch of them. They'd look pretty cool with this sort of mouth open sort of thing. But yeah, the actual realization of them wasn't great because they just looked very rubbery. I think there was one good shot where there was sort of fire and flames and they were coming towards you because they were kind of distorted. Do you know what I mean? If they'd have been sort of kept in the shadows, or again comes back to the direction, if they'd have been shot properly or whatever, I think they could have worked. But it's just that you just saw so much of them that it was just, they just didn't look that good. But I didn't actually mind the design of them though, to be honest with you. I thought, I kind of like the big scary mouth open face. But,
Okay.
Yeah, but I get where you're coming from.
It just looked like there wasn't, either they had no time at all to design up what they look like and put a costume together, or they missed the point. Something else in this episode where the point, they were off point.
They look a bit like they're made of porridge.
Yeah, it looked like glunky, gloopy, muddy type things. They didn't look like sand men at all.
No, it didn't look like Sandman, no.
Right. Anything before we get on to Clara and the Doctor? What did you think to this whole concept of there's dust inside your, the corner of your eye, and they can somehow get a perfectly fine HD video feed from a speck of dust? What did you think to that concept?
Well, yeah, it's ridiculous. I don't want to sort of just keep laying into this episode, but I'm afraid I've got to, because it's nonsensical. It's just stupid. I can't think of any. I just can't say anything other. It just I must admit, the first time I watched it, I kind of thought, I found myself sort of sat here thinking, what?
Yeah.
Have I missed something? That's what I kept thinking all the way through this. Have I missed something? Like, what are they talking about? This something made of sleepy dust is filming everything going on and making monster. I don't know. Yeah. It's just not. There are two things about that really done my head in. The first one was partway through the episode. There are various scenes where you can see the Doctor looking at Clara. Yeah.
But it's the footage from Clara. So I thought to myself, well, that, and I'm sure a lot of you guys were the same, where you thought, well, that's not right because Clara's not wearing a camera. So this can't be right. And I thought to myself, well, this is going to be quite clever. It's either going to be a mistake or it's going to be quite clever how they explain this one. And then when the Doctor explains it, that it's a speck of dust, I was like, are you kidding me? And then there was like other things where like there was just dust particles in the air, and that's how they managed to film like a group of people from like, a little bit higher up and stuff like that. But dust doesn't move like that.
No, it's not perfectly still.
Of course not. It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. And I know in Doctor Who you've got to suspend your belief to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But there are some things like this where it's just like, wow. I mean, it's more the idea behind it, isn't it? It's almost clutching at straws, really. It's just a silly idea, I think.
Yeah.
Who was Patient Zero in the box as well? Or was there anything in there?
Patient Zero, I think that was just like the first person he tested out the Morpheus machine on.
Oh, right.
And had just been in there for so long that,
we never saw them, did we, or anything? No.
Not before they turned into a Sandman, no.
Right, okay. Because the other thing I didn't like with, when Clara gets dragged into the machine, the Morpheus machine.
Yeah.
Did you understand what was happening at that point? Because I know it's.
Yeah, this is another slip up for me.
Because again, I thought I'll have to rewatch that because I don't know what she just suddenly is inside it. There was again, I know we've found footage, so okay, the dust cameraman missed that bit, but again, the direction there was just because I was like, she was looking at the front of the pod, and then suddenly she's in it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing that there was no context around that, and it was totally that bit of script was completely bizarre, because those pods, those Morpheus machines, all they were designed by this Rasmussen guy, because he's like the lead guy, the lead researcher doing all this Morpheus stuff. There was no point at any time in this story or this episode where, because the reason why Clara ends up in the pod, because when they open it, she says that she was standing next to it, and all of a sudden the cables dragged her in.
Yeah.
But why would they write that in, that the cables, because it was never revealed that these pods had any kind of AI or any kind of reason to drag people in or anything like that. There was no motive at all for these pods to drag somebody in. There was just nothing to do with it's got nothing to do with the pods themselves. And I don't understand.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm glad it wasn't just me then, because that's what I was thinking. I just didn't get it, and that brings me back to the thing with her eye, that never gets resolved. She's like really worried, and I wondered if it was sort of going to be leading up to her leaving. I thought, is this something to do? Like, don't worry, because the doctor looks concerned, doesn't he? He's like, don't worry, Clara. We'll one way or another we'll sort it. Yeah. And obviously it didn't get resolved, and I thought, is that the start? Of something, and it's not giving too much away to say this. We've seen the next episode, so we know that this is never mentioned again.
Yeah.
So what is that? Why is it in there? And B, what happens? Like, do we just assume that she goes in the TARDIS and the Doctor gets his sonic shades out and everything's fine, or what was that about?
Exactly.
See, I'm getting annoyed now, because that really bugged me, because I kept thinking, what's going on with Clara's eye? You know what I mean? It's
this is not a spoiler at all. So just to put your minds at rest, this storyline and this whole thing about the speck of dust or several specks of dust in Clara's eye doesn't get mentioned or brought up again.
No, it doesn't.
So that's not a spoiler. And it's completely random, because she's clearly quite concerned about it. She's like, you can fix this, right? We're going to fix this. And he's like, yeah, don't worry, we'll sort it out. But then, like you say, we never get told if she was sorted out or whatever. It's just left.
It's just left. And it really
random.
bugged me, which is why I sort of mentioned the fact that we've seen the next one, because it really bugged me. I was like, it seemed like an important plot point. You know what I mean? It seemed like it was going somewhere, and it was put in there for a reason.
Yes.
But it just wasn't.
Yeah, and I thought, is this the plot device that they're going to use for Clara's exit?
That's what I thought.
Because we all know that she's going, and then we all know that she's going in tomorrow night's episode. So is this the point? Is she going to deteriorate into a Sandman?
But I hope we're not giving too much away, but it is something that really bugged me about this episode.
No, we're not. There's no spoilers in what we've said. Everybody knows that it's Clara's last episode.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that it just never gets mentioned. We don't know what happens. We don't know if the Doctor, manages to remove the speck of dust and all that stuff. It's just completely random.
Who gets in the TARDIS as well at the end? It's the Doctor, Clara, and is it that woman? Who actually manages to escape? Because apparently the Moff has asked Gatiss to write a sequel to this. You know this, don't you?
No.
Have you not heard this? This is honestly, this is genuine. After the episode aired, it was revealed that Stephen Moffat has actually asked Mark Gatiss to write a sequel to this story. So I'm just thinking,
oh, Lord,
how's that going to work? Because that's just led me on to thinking, who gets in? Because the one thing about this episode is it doesn't have a conclusion, apart from the twist. It has a twist, but it doesn't have a conclusion. And even the Doctor says, as he's getting in the TARDIS, none of this makes any sense. What's going on? Which is clearly, what the audience is supposed to be thinking and is thinking.
Yeah.
So, there's a bit of a sort of cheeky thing for Mark Gatiss to put in there. But yeah, so the Doctor, Clara, and that other woman get in the TARDIS, don't they?
Nagata, the team leader. Yeah.
Nagata, yeah. And escape, and presumably they've all got this dust in their eye. Well, two of them have. But yeah, so it is an unfinished story, and the fact that Gatiss is going to write a is going to write a sequel to it, or is possibly going to write a sequel to it. How's that going to work? Do you know what I mean? I don't think we're going to, because Clara's not going to come back to resolve that eye issue, is she? Unless she's going to pop to Specsavers, and do a little cameo.
Yeah.
That's just not going to get resolved. So I don't know.
No, I don't know. I'm
I
hoping
can't believe you didn't know that they're going to do a sequel, and I'm not even joking. You have a look online.
Oh no, I hope that doesn't. Anyway, because the only thing that they could resolve is where he takes. It would be a really cool sequel. Actually, it would be about 2 minutes. You just see the TARDIS materialise on whatever planet and whatever street Nagata lives at. He kicks her out. There you go. You're sorted out. Goodbye.
See ya, pet.
See, yeah, and that's it.
Yeah.
Right. So, what did you think to Clara and the Doctor, Jenna and Peter, their performances in this? Then, what did you think?
Well, neither good or bad. They're just in there. I mean, nothing. There is no standout moments from this episode. If I really struggled to pick anything that's good about the Doctor and Clara in it, it's just the one scene where the Doctor says, "Oh, hang on, what did you say 1.38 seconds ago?" That's the only bit where I kind of liked him. I thought, that's nice. That's a nice little 2-second moment. But yeah, they're not really given anything good in this episode. So not Peter and Jenna's fault. They're just going through the motions. And there's nothing wrong with them, but yeah, there's nothing stand out from either of them in this, I don't think.
Yeah, that was my thoughts, really. There's nothing great. There's nothing terrible.
They're not given anything to do.
Yeah,
really.
If I was Capaldi, I would have smacked Mark Gatiss across the face and say, "Are you having a laugh?"
Yeah.
Because there's nothing in there for them to latch on to and give anything of a decent performance, because it's just so flatly poorly written. And I really, it's frustrating because when, especially this series, when Capaldi and Coleman get a good script, it's been amazing. They've been absolutely just brilliant in some of the episodes this series. But it goes to show that if they don't have a decent script, it's immediately forgettable. I can't even remember most of the lines from, and I've seen this twice, I can't even remember most of the lines that those two said throughout the episode. It just immediately meh. I can't remember.
Yeah. It's not, like I said, that's the only one that sticks in my head is when he says that about going, what did you just say? I mean, you could see it coming a mile off because she just said, "Oh, we haven't got any cameras." So you were sort of waiting for him to do it, but that was the only bit that sticks in my head. I can't really think of anything else they did in it. I was going to say that Capaldi does a lot of looking directly down the camera with his big wide eyes, and that's cool. But yeah, they weren't given a lot, to be fair. No.
Oh man,
So,
I've not felt this way for a long, long time.
I'm trying to think. I mean,
have we got any positives? Is there anything cool about this?
The only thing I did like was the sort of twist, if you like, at the end. That the fact it was, it's too late. You've watched it. Sort of talking to the viewer. I orchestrated this. You've watched it. Yeah, you can't unsee it. And then that's the only bit I liked. So it's not a bad little twist.
Yeah.
I quite liked that.
Yeah,
that's one thing I will take away from the episode. Going back to when did we last feel like this? I think even in the Forest of the Night, I don't think I felt quite as underwhelmed.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I can't remember what I scored that. I might have to have a quick look before we score because, this is definitely on par with it. Anyway, what about you? Is there anything in it? It doesn't sound like it, but was there anything in it you enjoyed?
In the Forest of the Night, you gave it a 5.5.
Oh, blimey, I must have been feeling generous.
Yeah, I gave it a 4.5, but...
Right.
Yeah. Any positives from me? I honestly can't find one, mate. I'd love to be able to say, there was this little glimmer of something there and there was something there, but honestly, mate, I know it was very strong words at the beginning, but, I hate this episode.
Wow.
I honestly, if we had a real life TARDIS, I'd jump in it, go back and say to Mark, look, you're going to make a huge mistake. Was there anyone that liked it? Have we heard any, rumblings around of anyone that, because Mark Gatiss put a tweet out, I think it was last night or the night before. I think it was the night before, so Tuesday night, where he basically said, something along the lines of, I'm glad that all of you either, really like this episode, or you for some reason hated it more than anything in life itself. Sorry for making Doctor Who better or destroying it before your eyes, sort of thing. So I think he's had a majority of a negative thing going on.
There's been a lot of it's caused a lot of discussion. That's one thing I will say is good about it. I think it's overwhelmingly been quite a negative reception to this episode. I was going to say we'll come on to the comments in a second. There are one or two people in the Geek Sandbag comments that liked it, which we'll come on to in a sec. I don't know about the blue box. We'll have to see it.
Yeah.
So, but I think the overall feeling on this one was not great.
Not great. Let's get on to reviews.
Yeah, let's go on to the scores.
Is it me first, I think?
Yeah, you first.
It's an easy one for me.
Drum roll.
Yeah, this is a 1.
A 1?
A 1 out of 10. And I'm being generous.
Okay. I've been a lot more generous than you. What did I give Forest? 5.5?
4.5.
4.5.
Hold on, Forest of the Night. Sorry. You gave that... where are we? 5.5?
Right.
No, 4. Hold on. So yeah, 5.5. Very sorry. Yeah.
See, I am struggling a bit. I'd written, after my second watch, I'd written down 4.5, which may be being a bit generous. I think I just got a bit more out of it on a second watch.
Okay.
I don't. Yeah, I won't change it. It's funny because when we talk through things, you do start to think, oh, maybe, but no, that's what I felt at the time. So I'm going to stick with that.
4.
So 4.5 for me.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, it was just. I thought there were some good ideas, but it just was just very, very poorly executed episode.
Okay.
Yeah, so I may be being a bit generous, but I'll stick with that. That's what I wrote.
Yeah, for me, it was a case of it was an insulting episode. That's the main thing, that it insulted the viewer. It tried to do something that, because Doctor Who fans are cleverer than this. Come on, let's not beat around the bush.
Yeah, I didn't hate it as much as you, but I certainly agree with a lot of what you said. A lot.
Okay. Let's see what you guys thought. We had quite a few audio clips. Let's play a couple of these first.
Cool.
This is Callum MacArthur.
Hello, the Big Blue Box Podcast. This is my review of Sleep No More. Now, this episode has to be the worst episode of Doctor Who ever. I thought it looked very interesting with the preview clips and stuff, but it just got let down so much. The song in it, Mr. Sandman, I think it's called, that's probably the only good bit about the episode, plus the Next Time trailer. So, in all honesty, I'm going to give this a 1 out of 10. So that was my review of Sleep No More. It was great meeting you guys at the weekend, and hopefully you have a great podcast. See you guys later.
Cheers, Callum.
Cheers, Callum. He's on par with you then. 1 at 1.
Yeah, not happy at all.
Good to see you at the Think Festival, Callum. Sorry.
Yes, it was very good, actually. Right, so on Facebook, Gina Di Gregorio. Gina Di Gregorio. Gina Di Gregorio, that's it, yeah. I sort of knew going in that I wasn't going to be blown away, as I'm not a horror fan, and Gatiss is so hit or miss. It wasn't terrible or anything, but it was fairly average on the whole, considering how wonderful this series has been. It really stood out just as that average. That said, I'm probably more excited over these last 3 episodes than anything. Anyway, thanks again for the fantastic podcast, and I hope you guys had fun at the festival. Thank you very much.
Thank you, yeah.
Sammy Satine. She says, well, it was different. Interesting idea, making monsters out of the stuff in the corner of your eyes after you wake up from sleep. Unfortunately, this was a snooze one for me. Bring on Face the Raven, 4 out of 10.
Yeah.
George Coppen. I quite enjoyed it, 50-50 on the found footage style, but it was quite interesting to see what it was like. Like the idea of the Sandmen, and they came about with one problem. There were a lot of questions asked and not many answered. I thought we'll definitely watch it again, though. 7 out of 10.
Okay,
nice one, George. Another audio clip. This is our buddy Jay Kent.
Do not listen to this. I'm warning you, you'll never be able to unhear it. Joking I am, this review isn't cursed or whatever, but Sleep No More. I seem to be one of the very few who thinks this episode is alright. I mean, admittedly, it's nothing spectacular, but it was passable. There was no standout moments or anything, but I thought it was very engaging and clever. It felt very classic-like with the look of the monsters and 474, who had just had Sharpie drawn on his face to make him an alien. The only thing I felt distorting was the cutting between the POV shots, and I'd have preferred it if it just stuck to the viewpoint of one character. But a key moment for me was, of course, the Mr. Sandman songs, as it made me think of that one scene in Back to the Future. Oh, good times. Anyway, I'd give this episode a 5.5, maybe 6 out of 10, and I'll see you next time for Clara's Last Bow. Hope you had a great time at the Doctor Who Festival, and have a good show. Smiley face.
Thank you very much, Joe.
Cheers, Jay.
Lewis Palmer on Facebook, he said, it was all right, dreadfully dull with a poor structure. When it ended, I just thought, is that it? No proper ending, and the music kept taking me out of the story. If they were pushing the fact that this is real footage, then why would it have background music? Next week looks good, though. By the way, the Doctor Festival was great. And Peter Capaldi is such a nice man.
He is a nice man, yeah.
Scott Stearns. Very clever in conception, kind of dull in execution. So snooze fest for me. It also might have worked better if we'd not done another Aliens homage. That's a very good point, Scott. I forgot to mention that earlier.
What was that, mate? Sorry.
Well, this whole thing, because he goes on to say the third or fourth, depending on how you count Under the Lake after the flood. Basically, we've had like a lot of reference to the Alien movies. This was another one, wasn't it?
Yeah, because of the sort of group of people and all that, yeah.
Yeah, well, if you think about the second Alien film, Aliens, it almost replicates that. We have this group of almost Marine-type soldiers. And they even had, like, the pulse movement tracker thing as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, he says, worst episode of the season so far. The Grunt storyline was the best part of the episode, as well as a few of the Doctor's quips. Let's play another audio review. This is Who Addict's Matt Rowney.
Now, I would talk about Sleep No More, but it will just put me to sleep. So, in fact, I'm just going to talk about how much of an amazing time we had at the Doctor Who Festival. Adam, Gary, it was an absolute thrill to meet you. You are both absolutely top blokes. We had so much fun on the Friday night and the Saturday, and I cannot wait until we meet up again. And I'm going to have to talk about the episode, aren't I? Damn. Okay. Sleep No More, ironically, was an episode that put me to sleep. It was one of the most unbearable and unwatchable episodes in recent memory. The plot was so thin and so generic, and the found footage direction worked at first but got really irritating, and it was overused, and it took me out of some of the scenes. The characters were some of the most undeveloped that we've ever had, and they meant absolutely nothing to me. 12 and Clara spent the time running around corridors. Rasmussen was one of the most irritating characters ever, and the way he was narrating the story just irritated me and made what was already a dull experience even worse. And the Sandmen, oh my goodness, a villain made of sleep dust, really? Are we supposed to take that seriously? I don't think so. It was an absolutely terrible villain. The found footage didn't work, therefore it ruined any sort of intensity, any sort of threat, and it basically killed off the entire episode. It had nothing to it, and the end, oh my goodness, the end was so abrupt and so unrewarding and just so ridiculously stupid. I was just left, I was relieved that the episode was over, so, yeah. Sleep No More had literally nothing. It is one of the most unbearable episodes I've ever had to watch, and for the first time I was actually generally concerned how much I disliked this episode of Doctor Who. So yeah, I gave Sleep No More a 2 out of 10. Yeah, I'm going to go have a nap now.
Cheers, Matt.
He's not happy at all.
No, he didn't like it. Yeah, good. It was great to see you, by the way, buddy. It was a really, really cool to hang out.
Yeah.
And I do agree with everything you've just said, I have to be honest, yeah.
Let's play another audio clip straight away. This is a lovely young chap we met at the festival. This is Theo.
Hi, Gary and Adam. My thoughts for Sleep No More, I was actually really looking forward to this. I thought the Sleep No More was actually quite a good episode, which is quite surprising for Mark Gatiss. My main complaint was the direction, really. I found it quite jarring and hard to follow, and that really didn't help as the script was already quite confusing in the first place. The plot was actually quite ridiculous with the whole sleep dust. I don't really know who was thinking, to be honest. And it's quite reminiscent of a Base Under Siege story, so nothing new there then. It was great to meet you last weekend, and have a good day.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers, Theo. Thanks for sending that in, mate. And yeah, great to see you as well. I agree with him about the direction. And do you know what? I was just thinking about the read-through. Can you imagine what the read-through must have been like for this? I bet everyone was just looking at each other going, what is going on?
Anyways, back on Facebook, Adam Time Lord Fishwick. It was okay. Not one that excited me that much. Face the Raven looks much better. Jeff Waddle. Oh, no.
Well, Jeff switched off and we did win him back with the Zygons, but
he came back. So Jeff, he says, awful. Again, unfortunately. It just didn't work and made no sense.
Got to agree with you, Jeff, yeah.
And then he did go on to say, I've kept season 1 box set and season 5. I could watch them repeatedly, even the ones I'm not that keen on. The rest, I'd happily swap them all for the missing episodes. Very, very not happy is Jeff.
No, I don't blame him on this one, I have to be honest.
Yeah. Anyways, Martin, Bad Wilf Martin. No opinion yet, but more than any other episode, this one I can't wait to rewatch. Alone in the Dark on my iPad.
Oh, so that would suggest
potentially that one.
Yeah. I can't gather from that whether he's watched it or not.
Not sure. We had an audio clip in from our friend over at the Theta Sigma podcast.
Oh, excellent.
This week's story was one that left me going, what just happened there? Can someone please explain that to me, as I have no idea what just went off? I have to admit that I was left floundering by the lack of opening credits, and I'm sure I wasn't the only one watching who 10 minutes in was starting to think, wow, this has got to be the longest pre-credit sequence in Doctor Who history. I love the idea of the found footage style, but for me this went on way too long. It's fair to say that it was an incredibly brave stand to build the whole show around it, but for the viewer it was ridiculously hard to concentrate and stick with the storyline. It's difficult not to cheer on Mark Gatiss. Russell T Davies and Stephen Moffat, or David Tennant and Peter Capaldi, Gatiss is a lifelong Whovian, both talented and lucky enough to actually affect Doctor Who's official canon. This is part of the reason why it's so frustrating that his episodes are wildly uneven. Unfortunately, Gatiss' latest script most resembles his previous Cold War, which failed to capitalise on the potential inherent to its title. A standard Base Under Siege episode with an unoriginal new technology has nasty unforeseen side effects plot, Sleep No More seems better suited as a comic strip adventure in a Doctor Who annual, with several scenes contributing to nothing to the overall plot. Deep Endo having to sing Mr. Sandman being the worst offender. This episode seems to be a 25-minute idea, stretched into a 45-minute runtime. So there you have it. I was left confused enough to have to look elsewhere to complete my review. As yet I've not had time to watch it a second time, but I'm hoping that, as everyone out there seems to think, I'll enjoy it a little more when I do.
Thank you very much, the Theta Sigma podcast.
Yeah, interesting thoughts there. I hadn't really thought about the Cold War comparison, although I think you mentioned it earlier, but that's a very good point, actually.
Yeah.
It has got a lot of similarities. And I've just subscribed to their podcast, so I'm looking forward to diving into some of your back catalogue, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much. Back on Facebook, Christopher Law. When Rasmussen said at the beginning, you must not watch this, I wish I had listened. Everything except Capaldi and Coleman let this episode down. The lack of plot, dreadful characters, and the lack of substantial ending. He gives it a 3 out of 10, but looking forward to Face the Raven. Joe Sweeney. Never thought I would say this again since Forest of the Night. I got to be honest, I wasn't blown away by this episode at all. Storyline was very hard to follow, which didn't go anywhere. It didn't feel like a 2-part episode, had no proper ending to it. Didn't like the co-cast, and the acting was wooden. Sadly, very disappointing episode of this series. Just something I would rather watch on a rainy day. So 3 out of 10.
Yeah, I agree.
Ryan Anthony. Due to me being at London at the time this was broadcast, I decided to actually have fun in London rather than watch this. After seeing the online reaction, I realised that I probably hadn't missed much. I've literally just finished watching, so here are my thoughts. Well, that was the weirdest thing I've ever watched. When I thought it was only 10 minutes into it, there was actually only 10 minutes left. I'm left with such a crazy feeling, which makes me not hate the episode, but certainly not love it. It wasn't as good as the majority of the series, but I'd rather watch this than most of series 2 and 3.
Oh, okay.
And it's 100 times better than Forest of the Night. 6.5 out of 10.
One day I shall go back, and this kind of makes you want to go back and rewatch Forest of the Night to see which is worse, because they're definitely two of the worst.
Yeah. Lastly, on Facebook, Ben Smith said hated it. There wasn't even a plot.
Don't mince your words.
Yeah. I didn't have a clue what was going on. Capaldi and Coleman got nothing to do. The supporting cast were weak and forgettable. Then it just abruptly ended. Villains made out of sleep dust is so stupid. The twist ending just made it more confusing. The Doctor summed it up perfectly. What is going on? This is proof that Gatiss shouldn't be showrunner. 1 out of 10. I completely agree, Ben.
So do I. Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, he's a good writer. Reece Shearsmith is a good actor. There's the Moffats in charge. All these elements should have made for a good episode, and they just didn't.
Yeah. Last audio clip. This is Thomas Evans.
Hello, Gary and Adam from the Big Blue Box podcast. Just before I get into my thoughts on Sleep No More, I'd like to say a really big, quick thank you to Adam for taking time out of his day at the festival on the weekend just gone to take that photo for me with the little sign saying wish you were there. So thank you very much, Adam, for doing that. But Sleep No More, I was very, very, I was underwhelmed by Sleep No More. I didn't think it was very good at all. I think it was the weakest episode of Series 9. I know I have seen a couple of people who have said it was pretty good and they did enjoy it, so that's fair enough because opinions are opinions. Personally, I thought the story was very weak. I didn't care for it at all. I zoned out at multiple occasions. Even on a rewatch, I kept zoning out. I didn't think the monsters were very gripping. I didn't think the story as a whole was very gripping, and I really just didn't feel involved, which I have done with most of the previous Series 9 episodes. So, on my behalf, I really don't think the episode was very good, and I wouldn't give it no more than a 4.5 out of 10.
Cheers, Tom.
Great minds think alike, 4.5.
Yeah. Anything? Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, although I am feeling I might have been too generous. But anyway, we had a couple on Geeks Handbag. Slightly more upbeat, some of them. Anyway, right, Mad Woman with a Box. She says, well, that was different. I could see why some would hate it and why it would work for some. Personally, I think a rewatch is needed. Definitely. The Daleks Empire says, I don't like saying mean things against Doctor Who, but this has to be one of the worst ever. I must have turned into a Sandman while watching it, and Dalek Empire's given it 3 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Gilly Tatham, a very good story, like the rest of this season, very good and bodes well for the future. So Gilly liked that one. Paul Gibbs, hello Paul. He says derivative. I can't speak. You say it, Gary.
Derivative.
That's the one. Dullness with another moon egg level concept. Stephen Hardy just says, I turned over. Oh dear. Greg Toby, I absolutely loved this episode. Wow. Reece Shearsmith's performance was really good, and his little interruptions every now and again really helped to tell the story. Also, the design of the Sandmen wide awakes was really creepy, and the way they moved reminded me of the Mummy from Mummy on the Orient Express. I'd give this 9.5 out of 10! Exclamation mark.
Whatever you're having in your tea, I'll take some.
Yeah, I'll have a bit of that.
Yeah.
And he says he can't wait for Face the Raven and the return of Rigsy.
Cool.
Okay. Jamie Lawson, I think I'm in the minority, but in the end, I really liked it. This is hilarious when you consider that at the beginning, I thought it was a total snooze fest, while the girlfriend loved it. We completely changed perspectives by the end. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And finally... Oh, actually, sorry, I got a couple more. Fraser Lockley left a very nice long comment, but I'm just going to say, sort of cut it down a bit. He said, got to be brutally honest, I hated it. I found the point of view filming gimmicky, pretentious and distracting. And he goes on to say a lot more, which is very interesting, but basically overall, he didn't think much to it. Jace Howes says, wasn't keen on the way it was filmed, and the exclusion of the title credits, a total waste of the brilliant Reece Shearsmith. And lastly, oh gosh, I've let myself in for it here. Michelle Ella Hilzenser. that'll be right. She says it was a pretty strange episode. It certainly was. It certainly was strange. Yeah. So surprisingly, a couple of positive comments there. Somebody gave it a 9.5 out of 10, which is each to their own. I'm glad you got something out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'll go down as pretty much the worst episode that we've reviewed.
I got to
on
say,
the
so far
podcast.
it definitely is. I don't think. I mean, I hated In the Forest of the Night, but I don't think even that we laid into quite as much as this one. So I think it is going to go down as the worst of New Who so far.
Yeah, well, we had some positives to take away from Forest of the Night.
Yeah.
Not many, but we had a few.
Mm.
But I can't think of any on this one. I'm sorry.
And we've had the thing is we've had a good run. I mean, there's normally one or two clunkers in a series, and we've had a pretty good run with Series 9. There's been a few not quite on par episodes, but we've been rating them pretty high. I think
Mostly, yeah, they've been some of the best that we've had, and some of them have been, not quite as strong, but still very good episodes.
Yeah, so I suppose it's inevitable we were going to get at least one sort of real clunker, and I guess, well, hopefully we haven't seen the last two yet, but hopefully this is it. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
But anyway, reviews, good or bad. Thank you very much for typing and recording your thoughts.
Yeah, loved the audios clips this week. Great to hear some new voices, and great that our regular listeners are still contributing. It's just brilliant.
Yeah, love you guys.
Yeah.
And I think we'll wrap there, buddy.
Okay.
Well, I think I'm a little bit exhausted from being so negative about Doctor Who.
Yeah, it can only get better.
It can. And I don't like being negative about Doctor Who, because I always feel that there's, at least something. Even some of the bad episodes from New or Classic Who, there's always like some cool little moments you can take away. But yeah, that one, it just really burnt the bacon.
Strange one. Very
Indeed.
strange.
So let's do some trivia. Last week, we asked you, what is the name of Parallel Universe Jackie's dog? And the answer, of course, is Rose. Justin Peterson on Twitter, Matt from Who Addicts on Twitter, and Nick English on Facebook. You all got it correct.
Well done, guys.
One of you guys, I think it might have been Matt from Who Addicts, said it was called Rose because it was a B, a BITCH. Which is not far from the truth. Anyway, this week... Sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, I don't think any other podcast we've ever recorded has had so much bad language in it. Since that episode, it's brought out with it.
Yeah. This week's question is, because we're talking about an upcoming companion leaving us, I thought it'd be cool to do a classic companion. Before his death, what planet does Adric say he wants to be taken to?
Oh.
So, literally just before his death, what planet does Adric say he wants to be taken to?
That's interesting.
Send in your answers on Twitter or Facebook, and we will read the correct ones out.
Hope we've got some Adric fans out there.
Good old Adric.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for sticking with us. It's been quite a long podcast, this one. Nearly a couple of hours, but thank you so much. And as always, thank you for sending in your thoughts and reviews. It's very, very cool. Even if they're bad, we still love hearing them.
It gives you more to talk about anyway when it's bad.
Of course, yeah. So head over to the website, www.bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk, and listen to all the previous episodes, and you can link off and subscribe on iTunes and stuff. And you can also find Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram from there too. Also, check out Adam's channel on YouTube and Facebook, The Geek's Handbag.
Yes, I shall be slaving away this afternoon to get that festival video ready so that it should be up Friday evening. That's what I'm aiming for. In fact, it will be. There is no maybe. It will be up Friday evening. So you'll be able to see me and Gary in the flesh.
Yay, cool.
So to speak.
Coolio. Until next week, enjoy Face the Raven tomorrow night. My name's Gary.
And my name's Adam.
And remember, Elodie!